I believe it would not limit the diligence and integrity to all candidates who are just seeking a candidacy for $117,000. I think adding on to what Ms. Furtado said, that would leave enough wiggle room for, emergency circumstances. And not only that, it will promote diligence for people who actually want to run out of the interest and not just pertaining to the salary.
Okay. Any other, Mr. Anderson?
Well, attracting people to run for it, not just because of the salary, if I have a skill set to be a public administrator, which I have a lot of education in and was a secondary of my formal studies, I would seek the job that paid $117, not the job that paid $60. So those of talent who can get hired at $117 will seek those jobs. The ones maybe that the others won't hire will take the lesser paying one, would be my thought.
Mr. Tinsley?
Does someone who would be selling for $60,000 automatically limit their expertise due to their income? I mean, there are people who take pay cuts every day just due to their interest in what they do. I mean,
I can just imagine me going home as an administrator with a significant other at home saying, hey, I've got an idea. I'm going to take another job, same work. I'll be gone just as much, but I'm going to take half the pay because I want that job. I think that's going to be hard to find. I don't think Mr. Schneider nor all the other applicants who applied for this position when he was finally selected would have ever applied for a job for $60,000. Who would have applied, I probably wouldn't want to have interviewed. But I guess we could always say there's that one star out there that might be attracted.
there always is.
Any other comments? Mr. Mitchell?
And I guess I also hear a lot the idea that, our taxes are already too high. We can't raise taxes to pay for things. And then, there's this idea that somehow, like, the compensation factor has to be high if you're going to recruit a qualified individual. And I take a little bit of an exception to that personally, because I don't think that public service is about the dollar figure. Now, I don't talk about this a lot, and this is not something that everybody knows about me, but in 2004, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. 2 years later, I was deployed to Iraq, where, if you guys paid attention about anything in Iraq, it wasn't a very pleasant place to be. And, I have a nice little scar on my back from a piece of shrapnel that I took from an IED. I have a friend in that same explosion who lost his leg. Those don't grow back. For my service to my country, for my base salary as my rank, for the hazardous duty pay that you receive when you deploy to somewhere dangerous like that. And mind you, the 7 months I spent in Iraq, that money is tax-free. I made the whopping sum, and I had to go look this up. I literally went and looked at my tax return to be able to give you an exact figure for this. $25,173. $25,173 to put my life on the line. And you're telling me that it's going to take $117,000 to get a qualified candidate to come in here and do we don't even know what? I find that disgusting. And quite frankly, if anybody on this board, the next time I hear somebody say, well, we don't have the money to do that, I'm going to point at this moment right here and go, well, you sure as hell had enough money to give somebody to oversee what?
There wasn't a whole bunch of debate on this issue, but one of the loudest things that were said by the supporters who pushed this, who continue to say that when they came to our meeting last month, is that this will be a budget-neutral system. And this idea that the best form of government is one in which we have politicians do the work of professionals, I mean, I can't really believe what I'm hearing. We're telling voters that the best form of government is when we pay the politicians more money. It's a tough job. We need to pay somebody a lot to do it. There's a lot of young men and women who risk their lives in the military for peanuts. We had a gentleman come in here last month talking about his buddy lost his legs for $25,000 a year. And we're going to sit here and say, in order to get people to serve this community, we got to pay them 6 figures. I think that's ridiculous. I don't think any, I mean, I'd be curious to see a poll of what the voters think on that. That in order to have the best government, we need to pay the politicians more money.